Hey, what's going on, everybody? Sorry, took me a little bit longer. I was trying to get this thing set up. Had some difficulties. All right, cool. So, what's up, bro? What's up, man? Thank you, man. I appreciate you being on here. Um, so today I wanted to go over some of everybody's thoughts on this whole Matrix thought. What your guys' input is on this, and what you guys have thoughts and ideas on about it. Um, if you guys want to come on, the link is in the comments. Check it out. I'll bring you guys on. You guys are more than welcome to come on here. It'll send me a notification. If you want to get on, then we'll go ahead and add your video if you're up feed. But it's really weird. I don't know if anybody's just been thinking about a lot of things that have been happening or that have been going on, like with anything in general. Um, how it seems to be um, a repeat narrative on a lot of topics, politics for sure. Um, but realizing and understanding a lot of things that we are seeing is just bullshit. Um, like I said, it's the whole thing with the politics, seeing how that is playing out, seeing the um, the secrecy of certain things that we thought. I mean, it goes into a whole category of things. UFOs, the files on a lot of things being released. We're still waiting on that, even after we had a congressional hearing with whistleblowers, uh, which really blows my mind because you would think it's been over a year and we're still waiting on the release of not the Epstein files, but the classified documents or unclassified documentation regarding a lot of things that have been going on, secret projects, the uh, the release of information on UFO subject matter and alien life forms, amongst a slew of other things that we are just waiting to get released and get, excuse me, sent out to the public for uh, for us to finally be aware of what has been going on. Um, and this was just something I figured I'd throw out there to see what you guys' thoughts are and what you guys think um, about all of that. Um, and like I said, the thought process of everything that we know. I mean, especially for people that are into this searching for information, or when they come across something, it's like you're made aware of it. You know what I mean? You see it. And I know I post a lot of stuff on my page, and I post a lot of things that I pick up, or somebody sends me and it's like, hey, man, have you looked into this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, man. Let me take a look at it. And, we seen things. I know at the beginning of the podcast, almost 2 years ago, I started talking about Tartaria and how that came across my vision of, wow, I need to look into this. And it made me start thinking that if they can cover up timelines and cultures and totally erase them from public knowledge, and I'm not talking about just, oh, well, this was a group of people that was centralized here. Oh, man. But we're talking about a continent, a, a group of people. We're talking about technologies. We're talking about historical events that we see, but we have been told a different narrative regarding things such as power, um, technological advancements in vehicles, energy, medical advancements, health advancements, um, the spirituality of how people were healing themselves or taking care of themselves was covered up holistically. Our food, the seems to me for this is just brought out because you see a lot of the times that when things are going on or things are happening, that's usually what's going on or who's behind a lot of this stuff. Um, and we know that after the turn of the century, after the 1900s, a lot of these wealthy, prominent figures were asked to invest in the centralized banking system, this Federal Reserve. Um, and you had prominent people, like I said, I talked about John Jacob Astor, other people that in the banking system. That's true, man. It's true. And that's the other thing too, is, are a lot of these things being used against those who are trying to do harm? Are these things being pawned because, I don't know if anybody's seen this, but I know that the Late Show with, oh, what is wrong with me? Stephen Colbert or whatever got taken off the air. Why? I mean, who knows? Could be a multiple coincidences of why. But people are starting to say that it's because of him having something to do with him being on this Epstein list. Okay, whatever. But one of the things is that could this stuff be used as leverage? Are actually going to get turned around. Look at stick with factual stuff that we know of, we can wholeheartedly put behind because we've been hearing this for years, you know, about all that stuff to do politically with what's happening in the White House. My thing is this documentation of all this secret cover information or the releasing of actual UFO evidence or documentation to say that, you know, this is it, this is what we have, um, and show it to people and let them see it because it's like what is it going to hurt to release this? People, I think, have come a long ways from when we were kids, and us watching, these alien movies and stuff. And yeah, granted, like Dr. Stephen Greer talks about, it's easier for them to paint this picture or this narrative of something bad is going to happen. The next thing that's going to happen now is this alien invasion that's supposedly a false flag to get people on board with believing that these terrestrial beings are actually going to come here and harm us. And I talked a little bit about this on the podcast about a week or two ago. And I was saying that, you know, if these beings wanted to destroy us, if these beings wanted to annihilate us, if they wanted to get rid of us, they are so technologically advanced more than we are. And Dr. Stephen Greer made this point. If they wanted to take us out, what is to stop them from doing so? Nothing. So you have these people like Elizondo or this guy that's going around peddling all this stuff about the UFO invasion and oh man, they're hostile and for them to be able to do this, they would just destroy us and yada yada yada. This is the narrative that was brought up before by Dr. Werner von Braun. And for those of you who do not know who Dr. Werner von Braun is, he is known in the NASA community as the father of space because he was brought over here on Operation Paperclip from Nazi Germany to help the United States with their rocket program because he had already advanced them to the point that if Germany, the V2 rockets, I don't know if you know about that, that he had already advanced it far enough that they believed that they had already reverse engineered and built UFOs, and that they had already built a time machine called Der Glocke, which was a bell-shaped craft that they were seeing and had gotten video of them testing this thing, where this bell-shaped craft, whatever it was chained to these, looked like one of the NASA rings for the rockets. And they were using it and chained it so that way it wouldn't take off. But when they activated it, it started making this whooshing sound and it lifted up and it was held in place by these chains. And at one point, it disappeared. It was gone. And they never knew what happened. But there were weird coincidences of people that have time traveled, reports of these people that have been claiming that they're from a different time, seeing this bell-shaped object in the air, and then next thing you know, they're in a different time zone, different year altogether. And I mean, there's so much of that is happening. That has happened even since then. Um, we know that they were so far advanced, more than us. But Werner von Braun himself was claiming that there were going to be stages that were going to lead up to the final stage, the final um, false flag, the final takeover for fear to push people to do what they want them to do, which is an alien invasion. And this is coming from his mouth because he was working closely with the government, with JFK and his top officials, that if they could make it look like this, could they actually literally pull it off? Well, with the advancements that they had already seen, his predictions were yes, we could have this thing going and it won't take that long. We just need to figure out the major components of uh, the fuel, how they fly, how they're able to bend time and space, how they're doing it, how the people that are inside of the craft able to withstand this atmospheric pressure that's going on around the ships. So, needless to say, they did figure it out. They did build this stuff, but the bad thing about it is that they had already done it before they left on Operation Paperclip to come to the United States. The Nazis were already in preparation for this stuff and had already taken uh, uh, these crafts or these ships down to Antarctica. And like I said, a lot of people don't know this because they don't read or research. And they took them down to Antarctica and they had a base there and supposedly had been prepping for the possibility of the end of the war, which drove them down there to have resources and the ability to do whatever they needed to do and to get themselves back on track. But Admiral Byrd took one of the largest fleets ever assembled in the history of the United States down to Antarctica and pretty much confronted the Nazis. His diaries and his documentation is that they had ships that they had pretty much no way of defeating, no way of of defense we're using. So they came back and he made his report, and his report is in the files. You can see it. But it's weird that an admiral, the same Admiral Byrd who flew his plane into what he says and described as inner Earth, had met these beings and was given a tour and told about things and discussed issues with these beings that were living in the earth. And he comes back and he writes it. He tells them, and they're like, pretty much like, you can't say anything about this, man. What is wrong with you? So that was another incident that got shut up. But it goes back into this thing of, if these beings are way more advanced than what we are, what is stopping them? Okay, if they wanted to destroy us and that was their end goal, wouldn't they do it already? Wouldn't they have already stepped up the game and said, we're tired of this crap. You guys are really screwing this earth up. You guys are screwing up each other. You guys are not understanding. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. Are these catastrophic events a plan for these things to cause another great reset? Those who are the survival of the fittest, those who live, live, and those who die, die. It's like just population control, you know? Um, and jumping back into this other thing of the narrative of what we are seeing in day-to-day life, it seems like they do things in order to get us scared. It's like, now we have this big thing with Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, Turkey, possibly Saudi Arabia, um, Syria, maybe Egypt, and these other countries. And here we are again back at square zero, talking about all this mess of getting us into another conflict. And it's like, what the heck is going on? Like, this is ridiculous. Then you have all this stuff that's happening. If you ever go outside and you're walking around your city and you're walking down the street, or you're looking at, you're at the store and you're in the car and you're parked there and you're waiting to just look around, and you see the state of things and the state of people's well-being, and you look at them and you're like, man, these people are like dead. I had people that were at the store today, like we were walking around, and they just had their phones in their hands as they're pushing their cart, and they're searching through their phones and not even looking up. You see a lot of the homeless, the drugs, the violence, and the destruction of our cities, and the complete chaos that has ensued. Is this all a stage setup? Is this all a part of a narrative to keep this going so that way they can just cause chaos and destruction and fear and lawlessness within our streets? Could that be what they've been wanting to do this whole time? I don't know, but it seems like it. It seems like that's what they want to do, because why would anybody who's in control of a country, okay, or a state or a city, governors, mayors, elected city officials, want bad things to happen? If they're saying bad things, or they're implicating that bad things should happen to somebody else, saying something about breaking the laws of the land in order to get this stuff done, and they're justifying it, but it's wrong, because we can't willfully go out and conduct this stuff and just break laws and say, oh, I can do whatever I want. But these people who are supposed to be protecting us, watching out for us, being civil servants and doing their job, they're not. They're allowing this stuff to happen. And that's what I mean. Like, does anybody not see what's going on with this? Does this not seem wrong? And that goes back to the whole thing of what I'm talking about is this staged? Is this all a setup? Is this a breaking down of our reality from those who are in control because they control the narratives of everything. They make the laws, they make the rules, they tell us what is and what isn't through media and all the information that they give us. And I always tell people, you've never been there. You've never done any of that stuff. So what are you doing? Believing these people and saying this. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense that we would believe them saying things when we haven't seen it for ourselves on our own eyes. And I don't get it that people are just so blindly able to just hold on to these people's every word on what is our reality, what is real. And it's crazy too because a lot of people um, have never even left the United States, let alone their state, or their town or their city. And they just know that what is what is said, and that is what it is. They don't question the system, they don't question the narratives. Um, and that's just been their life. That's how they do things. That's how they roll. And for people that realize what's going on, or they see things for what they are, or they see it for what it is, and they question it and they look into it, it seems like they get silenced. Yeah, they get silenced, or they get censored, or they get told that if you keep pushing this issue, then they get threatened. And it's not just government officials, whistleblowers, people that are coming out that are working in these government agencies. It's normal people. People have been, oh man, this famous TikToker, or this famous, journalist, or this person who worked for so and so that was looking into this stuff, or was gonna blow the whistle on all this stuff that was happening. They end up dead, and it's like, what the heck? Nobody sees the coincidence in this, and it's like, we have these high officials that are like, they're like mass murderers, dude, serial killers of regular people. And I don't know how to explain it. I mean, is it just the fakeness of what is going on in the world, in reality, in you know our day-to-day lives, our lives? Are we actually just being manipulated and controlled in order to progress a narrative and a narration of this subject matter that they just push on us in order to keep us blinded to the fact of what is really happening? I mean, why are we not allowed to? Yeah, bro, straight up. And they're just one of many. And, if we were really truly free people, then why have we not had a Joe Schmo that has been elected as president? Because it's we the people, right? Democracy is supposed to be about we the people. All US citizens of a certain age living in their state or city or in the United States should be allowed to run for president. But you don't see that. You never see that. You see these people who are in these high positions of office that become presidents. No normal American citizen has become a president. None. And I think the last time that something like that happened, it was like, I mean, geez, go if you look back, aren't all the I mean, every single one of the presidents is what related, except for a couple of them. Um, that's the crazy thing too, is it makes you think like, what is really going on here? And that's the other thing about this time slippage, or this distortion of what our realities are that we see or we have heard of. Look at CERN. CERN is, I was just listening to this thing on another podcast, and they were talking about time travelers, and they were talking about how they um, are linked to this CERN project or have been linked to this CERN project for a while. And it always goes back to that. It goes back to that whole thing of, um, you know, CERN being at the center of it, causing these discoveries of the ability to make or conduct time travel experiments with their this new um, machine that they're building. It's like supposed to be like 5 times bigger than the one that is now. Um, and this is what there's, has been said, is that this thing has been so um, progressive in the science field of opening and unlocking new avenues of approach for so much subject matter, that it has become overwhelming. And they believe that it also had something to do with a time shift, a slip of the time paradigm that we that were before, grew up before them, uh, before this happened. Um, we realize a lot of things that used to be, that are said to not be real, or happen slightly in a different way. And it just makes you think, like, what, if any, of this stuff is actually true? Like, are we really seeing an alternate timeline that got shifted because of something that happened at CERN? Did they open up a portal? Did they destroy the world, and we're just living in a memory lapse of what our world used to be? There is so much crazy ideas you could throw out, but a lot of them have been talked about by other people because they either know of something that has happened, or they have witnessed it personally. Um, or like this guy that was, claiming to be a time traveler from the year 2035 or something like that. 2335, something like that. And he claims something to do with CERN. CERN was one of the issues that they were having, because it opened or caused an alternate timeline uh, process, where now we are living in an alternate timeline that is not our own. It's fun. I know it sounds weird. God dang it. Um, and I don't know. That's what I mean. Does anybody have any ideas, any thoughts, anything on any of this? Um, Matt, thank you, man. I appreciate you for being on. I appreciate it a lot. Um, we are seeing a lot of things where now we are unraveling a lot of ancient mysteries that were once hidden to us. The pyramids being one of them. The understanding and the knowledge that is coming out of these discoveries that was already told. Theories were already brought up about a lot of things that are coming true regarding these ancient sites that were built by people who should not have had any of the technologically advanced ideas that they had. But they did, and they built these gigantic monuments somehow, some way, that we today cannot even replicate with the machinery that we have today. But they did this tens of thousands of years ago. And here we are, thinking that the things that we have are advanced, they're technical. What if all this stuff that we're seeing is just a dash of what it was back in the old days? Because they had a lot of things that were way technologically advanced that we can't even fathom today that is ahead of us, and we're only reaching our potential technological wise, and advancing the progress of so much of our stuff that we have not been able to reach that advancement because of those who are in control and will not allow us to advance further than where we are now, because they want to be greedy. They don't want to help humanity. They'd rather help themselves. So is that another part of the time paradigm, the whole matrix shift of us seeing things or being in things that are not real, that are not true? And if it is, what does it mean for those of us who realize it? What does it mean? It is crazy because it goes back again to the whole Tartarian research, right? Finding out that there was these vast empires of this group of people, the Tartars, who built civilizations, who were so technologically advanced, way ahead of their time, more than what we are now. And they did all of this stuff not just for the benefit of themselves. They didn't do that. It was for the betterment of the collective. It was for the betterment of society and the people. And it was the people that benefited from all of this. It wasn't the higher ups. Everybody benefited from this. So that's what the major difference that we see in these. And the other thing that tripped me out as well was the discovery of what actually happened with the mud floods. And if you don't know anything about that, that in and of itself is a trip as well. Because it really brings to light what could possibly have already happened. A giant mud flood came down and destroyed a lot of cities, civilizations. And when you look at the construction of a lot of old buildings, that there's windows at our ground level, but they go deeper. They're like 2, 3, 4 stories deep. And it's old ancient history. It's part of the covering up of a lot of this knowledge and information that was far more advanced than us. So, if this is the case, we could possibly be seeing in our lifetime a similar issue, a similar reset, a similar time shift. Because think about this, if we don't teach our children about history that we know of and how we've seen it and what we thought was real, but if we do our own research and we look at things that are coming out and people that have done their own research and books that are being written on these old ancient historical facts, and we pass that information along, then future generations are never going to know about history, real history. So if you keep it out of their mouth and out of their mind and they can't talk about it or they can't share it, then it gets lost. It's gone forever. It's like it never happened. Yeah, man, it makes you think, bro. A lot of things that are underground. And then, that tripped me out too, because I was thinking about that movie, um, Mimic. Was it Mimic? I think that's what it was, with Tom Sizemore. And they were in the museum, remember? And her and her husband had to find uh, the nest where all these eggs of these beings, these creatures that they mutated. So they go down to the subway, right? And he tells him, he was like, man, how far down does this go? He goes, oh, it goes down stories. And I think he said something. He goes, man, I've gone to, he goes, I think there's like another 12 stories or 6 stories or something like that below this one. And the guy looks at him, he's like, wow, that's unbelievable. So that makes you think, because when they go down there, they're in this old grand train depot. And you're like, what the freak? Just imagine all the vast cities that are underneath our feet, or underneath the cities, the major metropolis cities, or just cities anywhere in general, I guess, because in Florida, they found that city that was buried underneath when they were doing renovations. It was like 44,000 years old, you know, and that's in Florida. Imagine the rest of the stuff that we would find across the United States if they would just stop hiding shit and trying to lie to us about everything, like all the information and the knowledge that they would be, we would have. Who was here? Where did we come from? How did we survive here? How did they make it across? How early, how far back have they been here in the United States? Who was here? How technologically advanced were they? That is such information that would shift the viewpoints of a lot of people from a lot of deceptive ideas that keep people mentally bound to this false narrative that they've always told us. And it sucks, because it's like, you know, we can listen to these people who are putting themselves at risk for telling the truth about things that they know, because they want people to know. They're like, this is wrong. People should not be hidden from this. I mean, this is stuff that can change the world. This is stuff that could better humanity if placed in the right hands of those people who really want to truly do right for humanity. But they won't, because they want to control it. And it's like you were saying earlier, Matt, are they using it as leverage against these people that are in power to say, hey, if you do not do this, this dirt that we have on you is going to stop you, right? A lot of people say this stuff that Trump has this dirt on people that he's going to end up breaking out, and jacking people up, imprisoning them, and going to do these court martials and have these execution squads and yada yada. And it's like, dude, it's right now at this point, I'll see it when I believe it, or I'll believe it when I see it. And that's where we're at. I mean, a lot of people have lost faith in our people that are supposedly supposed to be working for us, because they won't give us the truth. I mean, there's so much that they have just not told us the downright truth to, that we know as citizens, as human beings, for Christ's sake, can handle this stuff. Are there other Earths out there? We know that there's more than one dimension or 4 dimensions. We know that there's at least 11 or more. We know that there's possibilities of us living on other planes or other realities or other timelines. But we can't, our scientists are not able to physically get us there. There's not a way for us to physically break those barriers to be able to do what these beings are doing, which is breaking time barriers. They can go forward or backwards. Is this our reality, or is it just a simulation? Are we literally seeing, are we literally seeing the shift from what was to what they want it to be? And again, this is just something that I, was thinking about. Somebody had brought it up. It's like, what if this is all just an illusion? You know, that we're living our lives based on information that is being given to us of how we should live, what we should be doing, and how we should be conducting ourselves day to day. rather than understanding our God-given rights and our abilities to do these things inherently that have been placed in us, growing our own food, drilling for our water. A lot of our resources have been shut off from humanity because people want to control them. Now they own it. That's weird, right? That, all of a sudden now our God-given rights to, being able to sleep and build our own houses and do things that we should normally be doing, growing our own food and being able to take care of our communities, we can't do it anymore because these people that are wanting to have control. And it seems so wrong that it should be like that, that's how it is. But it just doesn't seem right. And a lot of people don't realize that because they're not awake. They're not savvy to what's really happening to the people. So every day, I try and do the best I can to live my life and try and make it better, not just for myself, but for my kids and give them information, which is why I'm so happy that my sons um, are really into looking into things that they question. What I don't care what it is, if it's paranormal stuff, if it's mysterious phenomena or things that they question, like, Dad, what is this? Or does this seem right? This is what I seen where I was reading and I looked it up, and giving me the gist of what it is, and I tell them, well, what do you think? What do you find out? Because I haven't looked into it. You tell me what you know. And I love it because they look into it and they start telling me these aspects of things that are going on with what they've looked up. And, you know, it's good to see that they're questioning everything, but not just questioning it, but they're trying to find things that are leading to validate this stuff that they're talking about, because it's good to have validation of things from sources that are credible to back up your stories or to back up what you're bringing out to everybody. Man, it's already 43 minutes. And you know what we're missing? You got it. We got to get this taken care of. I'll be right back. All right, cool. Sorry it took so long. I just totally forgot about it because I just started jumping right into the subject matter. But anyway, so could this be what is happening? I mean, we've just been deceived our whole lives about a lot of things that has led us into the current state of where we see ourselves as a society now. And does that take away our freedom of choice? No, because we still have the ability to make our choices. But we are basing those choices based off of something that is totally could be deceiving us, because what we think of as right might not completely be true, and what we think of as wrong could not completely be true. And what we consider to be good things and bad things and things that would help us or harm us, or what we think of as freedom and not freedom, that is what a lot of people are talking about when they start questioning the narratives of things that they see or we see around us regarding everything. Um, the only time I really look at the news is when it's like, got something to do with these things that are happening all over the world with our natural resources, water. Somebody had posted something about the shifting in the poles and that the rivers or the ocean currents had changed um, status because of this. And I'm like, this sounds too much like out of the movie of um, Day After Tomorrow. And I'm like, This is crazy, man. This is ridiculous. Like, and I didn't even want to jump into it and look at it. So if you guys have heard about it and you guys have seen it and you want to post about it, please do. The other one is a lot of these earthquakes. A lot of these earthquakes that have been happening. They have been predicting this stuff for about 10 years now, and we're starting to see ramping up of earthquakes all over they call it the Ring of Fire, where a lot of the volcanoes are here on the Pacific Island or side, going all the way up around into Asia and then back down and around from Australia to Hawaii and back through to the United States, I believe it is. And one of the mountains that they're keeping an eye on right now is Mount Rainier, and that is in Washington. Um, and they are saying this is the second, well, it's one of the worst ones to look out for. Um, but the other one also is Yellowstone National Park. That volcano is what they call not an extinction maker, but it's going to be enough to where it's going to destroy a lot. Um, yeah, and that's weird, right? Right? It's like it's what you call it, not MK Ultra, but it's like um, it's virtual programming. You know what I mean? That we've been programmed since the early 2000s for a lot of this stuff. And even us kids that were born from the 80s and 70s, the 80s were really detrimental in feeding us a lot of stuff that we are seeing now, and we are seeing come to pass. From then on, it was like it was just things that were just coming out, boom, 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 about a lot of things that we're seeing currently going on today. And one of the biggest ones was the movie The Terminator, 2025, from the year it was from when they had that movie come out. It's weird. It's ironic that they would sit there 40 years from now. It's 2025, and it's like, what the heck? They're talking about the machines taking over, us giving machines the ability to think, AI, being able to take control and the computers take over because they become self-aware. And it's like, fudge, dude, really? Could this be something that, they were just like, I don't know, man. It's weird because it makes you think, right? What are the coincidences of a lot of this stuff that we see on TVs? Like Matt's saying, with The Simpsons or with TV shows, you know, that we see a lot of the stuff that is going on that they are discussing and talking. Like, I bring up one man that really got me amped up, and I couldn't help myself because at the time my ex, and I feel bad for her because she was probably like fucking tired of hearing about this shit all the time. Is that I would bring up something in the movie Godzilla versus King Kong, I think it was, when they're riding those subway trains in the military government secret tunnels that are taking them all over the world. That shit was given out by the whistleblowers like years before that. And then all of a sudden it comes out in the movies like, okay, why would you just happen to just throw this random thing in there? It could have been anything. But they made it a military government secret tunnels that travel, just like the whistleblowers were talking about, these waterways and tunnel systems all over the world. And they press this button and it takes them to China, and they're like 12 minutes, 20 minutes. What the freak, dude? The Hollow Earth in that movie series, dude, they ran wild with that one. They ran wild with that one. It wasn't just like one thing, it was the whole series after King Kong goes into the earth to go find his kin that are just like him. And it's like, holy crap, dude. Could some of this stuff be just thrown out there for us just to see? Because they're just like, yeah, whatever, throw it out there. They'll take it or they won't. And it's weird, man. It makes you think, like, right now, are they literally living in the future tense somewhere else while we're just down here on Earth just suffering? You know what I mean? Being allowed to go through this crap because these elites and these people who are left here to control this earth are dominating it and being able to do whatever they want to do while we're left here to fend for ourselves while they're out there doing Star Wars Space Federation crap, you know? And it goes into the thing of like TV shows like a Star Trek. They never described anything about where they came from. They know the year, but they're in space. That's what they do. There's stations and stuff that are set out within the galaxy that they can end up going to. There's bases on other planets and other galaxies and other planetary systems. So they're out there on these missions, like the Navy in space, the Space Force, traveling around, gathering up information, doing all this stuff. Could that be what we're seeing a lot of the times? Could this be what we are being kept hidden from because they don't want to tell people that? But it's been going on for years, years. A lot of things just don't add up. It just does not seem right. And it's, I guess, to people that are realizing a lot of stuff or it just doesn't sit right with us. Yeah, I enjoy it every single day I get up. I make the most out of my day. I spend it with the people that I care about. I don't sit here and just bury my head in the sand and all of this stuff and just that's all I care about. I don't want anybody to think that. And I obviously, like I say at the beginning of all of my podcasts, is everything that I put out or I talk about it or I discuss or that we bring up on the podcast or if I bring on people that come on and do it with me, we don't force anything that we say to you and tell you this is the gospel truth. It's just giving you the information. We might just be a little bit more passionate about it because we are like, this has got to be something to look into because it is going to affect our future. It is literally going to change or break or make our civilizations. There are things that are coming that are going to happen that they have been planning for a long time. And I think that they're probably going to be about to unfold this thing in order to subject us to a narrative that we are not prepared for. And it is going to be another incident that was a false narrative. I mean, look at the guy that just died at the bubonic plague, for Christ's sake, in Arizona. Never, never has this happened. All of a sudden, the Epstein files go blah, 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 and the guy dies from bubonic plague. Christ Almighty. Is this what these people are willing to go to? Is this what they're willing to do to us? To get us to comply? Of course, because they've done it before. There is nothing that they will not do to get their point across, to get what they want, to fear us into doing things that we do not want to do. Tell you that you can get sick or die if you stand around people. If you go outside, if you're more than 6 feet close to each other. I really hope that people do not allow this this false sense of freedom outweigh your actual liberties and your actual life to happiness in the pursuit of liberty in a country that should be free. Because a lot of things that we are going to see that people are going to start projecting what could be, or things that are, oh, well, the threat is here, it's going to happen, this, and that. Oh, a disease is breaking out. Oh, they're going to, billions of people are going to die. Oh my God. On top of that, we got aliens that are coming. And oh my God, they're going to want to kill everybody. They're trying to come and take over society. There's going to be so much crap. Oh, and then, people went missing, or, you know, and Jesus Christ is coming back, and it's the rapture, it's the end of the world, and it's the times that are forecome, that we're told to forecome, and yada yada yada. It's going to be a push for them to strike up a narrative that best fits their desires in order to get what they want. And we're going to see this very soon. Um, now there's this whole other narrative that, Donald Trump is probably going to be sick. He's going to end up dying, and they're going to replace him with somebody that they want to put into the office. Because the predictions that happened on The Simpsons was that, yes, that was one of the things that was going to happen. But they said it, I think it was a different way, which failed already. And, it makes it seem like, Art, what is going on, dude? Like, this is crazy, dude. This is really weird. And, I pray for the safety of all people who are trying to do the right thing for this country, and who are trying to get us back on track to where we need to be. Um, but it all starts, like Dr. Stephen Greer said, it starts with disclosure. We've got to have transparency when it comes to this type of stuff that could possibly change humanity forever. Not just for those that are able to pay for it. Every single woman, child, baby, animal, plant, the water, every creature that crawls on this earth would benefit from this, because we could totally change our health, our environment, our ability to live in freedom and peace, not have to worry about wars, because wars would be obsolete, because you wouldn't have to fight over minerals and fight over this and that, and take over these little countries for something that is going to be obsolete. You don't need it anymore. Now you will have sufficient enough energy and power and sustainability that every human being can live. I hope that this reset, or these entities, these beings, these elites, these one percenters that are in control, understand that they have been trying for centuries to destroy humanity and to try and break us. They've obviously failed. We've survived. They've gotten their way back again, and we survive again. We will survive this time with whatever these things throw at us. Why? Because we always find a way. We always have a way to band together, pull ourselves out of this mess. And I pray that it doesn't come to this. I pray that it doesn't get to that point where we are having to fight for our freedom, or having to um, take back control of what is ours inherently by the Creator. But it seems that it has to come to that in order for us to gain back what is ours: our life and our liberty and our pursuit of happiness. The real truth, freedom. And like I said, I hope that those who are in charge, that are trying to literally do the right thing, I hope they succeed. And I hope those who are in office that are deceiving us, that have been manipulating the system for so long, I really truly hope that they get what is coming to them. I hope that we are able to see it, because not only did they do what they did to destroy this country, to try and break it down from the inside, they literally want to give it to those who wish to do us harm. They have no problem in doing that. So I hope that they get what they deserve. I hope that we get what we have been wanting, which is transparency from the government, to release information, documentation, and just be truthful and straight up with us. Let us know, hey, we do have this technology. We have been working with the other heads of governments to ensure that this is disseminated throughout our societies and our countries, and in our states and our cities and our areas that we want to progress. And, is it going to be something of a new world order where it becomes a federal, universal law uh, to be of Earth? We're not just citizens of Spain, America, and Mexico. We're citizens of Earth, where we become united, where there is nothing that we can't have or do, and it's going to be regulated. You don't want to have people getting out of hand, but at the same time, you want people to live free. I hope that those days come. I hope that there comes a day when we don't have to fight wars, where we don't have to send our young men and women out to die or fight in these countries, that we don't have to keep doing this cycle. Yeah, like Matt's saying, the world repeats itself every so many years. They're saying, I think it's like every 10, 12,000 years, 6 to 10,000 years, that it's like a reset with these catastrophes and whatnot. Is this what we are seeing? I hope that we can get this taken care of, because I sure as hell would like to see my grandkids and my kids grow up in a world where they don't have to live in the bullshit anymore. And it seems like, we keep getting this, dog and pony show, and it's getting worse. But I just hope that it gets taken care of. I hope that we get to see the betterment of society and humanity, and weed out those who need to get what they deserve for trying to destroy this country, destroy people's lives and humanity with these other snakes that are in other government officials around the world, that were plotting in on us. But yeah, I hope everybody has a good weekend. I hope everybody has a good night. Be safe. Be kind to one another. And always remember, you're not alone in this. Those of you who are always trying to seek the truth and the understanding of things that are tugging at your heart and at your mind, this doesn't feel right. I need to look into this. I gotta check this out. Do so. You're not alone. You're not the only one who thinks like that. Do your research, thoroughly investigate this stuff, and talk to other people who are like-minded like you. Then share your ideas, share your thoughts. It's better to do that than to sit there and go, I can't go outside because I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so frustrated. There are people who are just like you that want to know the answers as well. And we are going to do everything that we can to get information out that needs to be put out, that the people deserve to hear. And we will try and do our best to help with understanding a lot of this stuff that we do discuss on our platforms. So, with that being said, you guys have a great night, have a great weekend. Be safe out there, and always remember, seek the knowledge, seek the information in the unknown, because it's there. It's there in the unknown that you're going to find your purpose, that you're going to find your answers. Because it takes a lot for people to stand up and do something like, I'm going to look into this. Even when people talk about you and they make fun of you or they belittle you, always keep pushing forward. Always keep doing what you know is right to you. Never let anybody put you down over something that you believe in, especially if it's something that you know in your heart is you've got a passion and drive for it, and other people are saying the same thing that you are, because you're not alone. And I'll see you guys later. You guys take it easy and have a good one.